According to Elizabeth Diane Downs, she and her 3 children were shot by a strange man.
I got a call late in the evening. A child had been shot. We had been told the crime may have been committed by an unknown assailant who stood outside the driver's door and fired shots into the vehicle, and that we needed to process the vehicle. After I got to the crime laboratory, I contacted Sergeant Peckles with the sheriff's office, and I met him at the county shops where Diane Downs' vehicle was temporarily stored, and he and I began to process the vehicle. Looking back over the years on this particular case, it had a lot of interesting forensics in it. I found some 22 cartridge casings in the vehicle. Using bright lights, I found a spot on the dash on the passenger side where it looked like it had been struck by a bullet. The bullet had penetrated the carpet after it struck the dash and was actually under the carpet.
Elizabeth Diane Downs, the 28-year-old Springfield mother accused of murdering one daughter and shooting her other 2 children, was escorted quietly through the courthouse to hear her fate.
In preparation for trial and trying to get this evidence across in a clear and concise manner, and we considered a lot of different media formats, and one of them, of course, was this model of the inside of the car that was built. I also had some dolls made that were anatomically the same size as the children. With this, we could place the dolls in the mock-up of the vehicle in the courtroom. And as I demonstrated, where there was blood stains in the vehicle, locations of cartridge casings, positions of the children, all of this was possible with this particular mock-up. I went through the medical reports and tried to place rods through these dolls as anatomically correct as I could. I gave the jury an opportunity to get an idea of the directions from which the shots came, possible positions that the child was in. During the night, while I processed the exterior of the vehicle and the interior of the vehicle, of course, I found a blood stain near the door, a passenger door, that was coming from outside to inside. We studied these droplets, photographed them, measured them. These fine dots that these strings are going to, these are blood stains. And this is part of a pattern that extends towards the door frame. If you triangulate this particular pattern back to a single source where these strings intersect, they come back to a height about 9 inches above the ground and about 13 inches away. The critical aspect of this was someone was shot outside this vehicle. We went to Downs' apartment and conducted a search at the residence. While we were in the duplex and searching it, one of the investigators pulled a .22 rifle out from under the bed. This photograph represents a comparison done with a comparison microscope. It is actually 2 images that are very close together to each other. They represent the extractor marks found on 22 cartridges from the rifle found in her apartment, and a cartridge case that was found either in the vehicle or from the scene. There is a fine line right down the middle that represents the dividing line between each image. And we slide these 2 images right up next to each other. All of these striations align with each other from 2 different sources, which indicates the cartridges that were from the rifle in her apartment had been worked through the same weapon that had been used in this crime.
The jury delivered its guilty verdicts on all 5 counts of murder, attempted murder, and assault.
I don't like to read into these things. I want to stick with the evidence and go with what the evidence tells me. And when the verdict came out that she was found guilty, I felt good that I had done my part. After working on this for a year, it was really a relief to be done. For a person who had only been in the crime laboratory for 5 years, it was really an opportunity to develop a case.